like to call to order our regular meeting of the Vallecitos Water District for regular meeting of the Board of Directors for the Vallecitos Water District for Wednesday, October 21st, 2020 at 5 p.m. And welcome to those of you who have chosen to join us. As you know, we're still doing this through teleconferencing. And if you choose to speak, need to speak at the appropriate times, please use the raise hand function on your computer, and we'll do our best to note you, acknowledge you, and allow you to speak at that time. But bear with us; sometimes we forget to. It's not on my screen. For roll call today, Director Sinella.
Present.
Director Hernandez.
Present.
Thank you. Director Elizar.
Present.
Director Martin.
Present.
And I'm here as well, so we're all here and present. And the first thing we're going to need to do is to adopt the agenda for this regular meeting. Do I have a motion?
Move to adopt the agenda. Sanella.
Second, Hernandez.
Okay. We have a motion by Sinella and a second by Hernandez to adopt the agenda for this meeting. Those in favor, I'll answer via roll call. Or not in favor. Director Sinella?
Yes.
Director Hernandez?
Yes.
Director Elizar?
Yes.
Director Martin?
Yes.
And I as well, so we passes unanimously. Did I hear something? Okay, so we'll be moving on now to public comment, and this is the time for the public to speak on issues that are not placed on the currently on the agenda. Do we have anyone at this time? General Manager Broom?
President Evans, as of 3:30, we did not receive any electronic communication, no emails that came in to our dedicated email line, and I do not see any of the attendees raising their hand with a desire to speak.
Okay, thank you very much. Okay, we'll move on to presentations. This is always a fun part of the meeting. And when we have two, will you be doing the presenting, or is it going to be Chris Robbins?
I'll do.
The first one is Litos.
Yeah, I'll do the first one, and then I'll turn the second one over to Chris, if that's okay. Okay, so thank you, President Evans. The first item is to acknowledge the professional accomplishment of Lito Santos, our capital facilities engineer. I don't know if Lito's on the line or not, but we're going to acknowledge him anyway. So Cal State San Marcos has a program entitled the Certificate in Water Management and Leadership, and it was designed by local experts and leaders in the water industry. The program is designed to prepare those currently employed as intermediate level supervisors in various fields of water supply and treatment for higher management positions. Lito was accepted into the program in the summer of 2017, so it's been a while, and he's worked on this for over 3 years, and it's all on his own time, so it's after hours, weekends, that type of thing. So he's worked for 3 years to complete the program, along with other local experts in the water industry, and that's one of the real values of this. It's taught by industry experts, and it's attended by people who are industry experts, so you get a lot of good cross-pollination. So Lito completed the program way back in December of 2019, and Cal State originally had a ceremony planned for March of 2020, but COVID got in the way of that, and the ceremony was canceled. Lito received his certification in the mail just this month, so we put it on the agenda to acknowledge him today. So I want to ask the board, please join me in congratulating Lito. It's a job well done, and to take this step to prepare himself for his career and for future opportunities here at the district is a good step for him. So great job, Lito. I don't know if he's here, but with that, I'll turn it over to you, President Evans, if you have anything to say.
Well, thank you. And yes, congratulations to Litos. And it's unfortunate that the pandemic has made it uncomfortably difficult for us to get together and thank people for what they're doing and congratulate them. But I might be wrong, but Lito's been with us, what, right around 5 years? And hasn't he come forward with a number of certificates? I mean, I think he must be one of the harder working, I'm going to get a certificate and take advantage of my situation. Am I right? Does he have like 3 of them or something?
I don't know. I think, is that Lito? Yeah, Lito has joined us. So Lito, if you want to speak, feel free. You can unmute yourself.
Oh, I'd love to.
Thank you, Director Evans. Yes, this is, I think, my second certificate. First was my PE, and now, yeah, the water management certification.
Oh. Well, you like to work hard, I take it. Keep yourself busy.
Thank you. Thank
Well,
you.
congratulations. Would any of the other board members choose to say? Yes, thank you, Director Sinella.
Yeah, hey, Lito, job well done. Thanks for everything that you do for the district, and your focus on professional development will definitely pay dividends for both our customers and for you as your career continues. And we just appreciate everything you've done, and congratulations.
Thank you, Director Snella.
All right.
Director
Thanks
Martin,
again. Yeah, yes, Director Martin?
just add on, thank you very much for all you've done and all you are doing. It's much appreciated by all of us.
Thank you, Director Martin.
Yes, it is. Very much so.
Lito, thank you very much. This is going to pay off for you multiple fold in the future. Keep up the good work. And although we're not here together in person, we acknowledge the great job you've done. And we will be getting together someday soon together. Thank you.
Thank you.
Director Elitharp, would you like to join the crowd?
Sure. Hey, congratulations, Alito. It shows a great initiative. It's so easy just to go home and not do anything, but it really shows you're taking the extra step to advance your career. We appreciate it and we support that.
Thank you, Director Elitharp.
And thank you for coming on board so we could at least see you when we congratulate you. It's true, you're doing a great job and the board is very appreciative. Okay, now we'll move on to Chris Robbins, who is also going to do a presentation.
Thank you, President Evans. Everybody hear me okay?
Yes.
So previously, one of the videos that we showed was actually Lito and his work on the Rock Springs project. What I'd like to show you today is Ryan Morgan's management of our solar project out at our 2 Twin Oaks tanks. And I think if Director Puem, do you need to give me the screen or I just click on the share?
You should be able to just share it, Chris.
Let's give it a go. Hi, I'm Ryan Morgan, Senior Engineer in Capital Facilities. I'm here at the district-wide solar project site at Twin Oaks Reservoirs 1 and 2. In 2017, the Vallecitos Board of Directors expressed interest in providing a district-wide solar project that would provide a renewable power source at different locations around the district to utilize open space to our benefit. This is a very innovative project for the district at a time when renewable resources are in demand. The district teamed up with Terra Verde Renewable Partners in evaluating and studying the feasibility of one here at Twin Oaks Reservoir, one at Lift Station 1, and then one at Mar Reservoir. Here at Twin Oaks Reservoir and at Lift Station 1, the two projects are combined under a PPA, a power purchase agreement, where a solar provider is responsible for the design, the build, and the maintenance of the system for 25 years. And in turn, the district is provided a reduced electrical rate from SDG&E over that 25-year term at 13 of its highest use meters. This project is very innovative in the sense that we're increasing the capacity of the electrical grid while also reducing Vallecitos' operational costs in purchasing electricity. This isn't a normal CIP project. Under the terms of the PPA, there are multiple project stakeholders at hand. There's obviously the district, who in this specific project does not act as the owner engineer. We are more of the host. We're providing the space for the solar panels to be installed, and over that time, the solar provider over the 25-year term is the owner. When that 25-year term expires, the district will take ownership of both facilities. A normal capital improvement project is bound by a scope, schedule, and budget. Where we're the owner operator, it's heavily involved on our end, where we're involved on the review cycle, design cycle, and construction. This project is a little bit different, where we are water professionals. We really had to seek outside expert guidance on how to install a solar array of this magnitude. And working with SDG&E, still having to comply with CEQA requirements and environmental constraints. Everything came and was worked together with Terra Verde and the solar provider to install what you see here today.
Hi, my name is Brian Loper, and I'm with Holt Renewables, project superintendent here at the Vallecitos Water District solar installation, installing 5,200 solar panels on a ground mount installation. I am the project superintendent for this site, providing oversight for the different contractors who are participating in this project. For this particular design, we're using a set of ground mount system, and what that really is for this particular design is a steel racking system that is going to be anchored down by concrete tubs. The structural steel platform will be built that the solar panels will be affixed to. What will hold the whole system down has been calculated for wind engineering is the amount of weight of the tubs to help anchor. The impact of this project will have, besides producing clean renewable energy, is that it will help save costs for the district, provide renewable energy, and help out the plant.
The district's average annual electric demand was factored in to this, along with the annual rate increases by SDG&E over the next 25 years. And in that time, the district is going to benefit with a reduced electric rate of 7.79 cents per kilowatt hour at its 13 highest use meters. This is estimated to save the district on the order of about $8.3 million between this site and lift station 1. This project is a great benefit to the Vallecitos customers. Through our export of power into the electrical grid, we receive bill credits on that power exchange. The district is benefiting directly from this by reduced operational costs, and additionally, that cost is passed down to the customer through ultimately reduced water and sewer rates. The West Solar Array is located on the district's 33 million gallon reservoir number 1. It has 2,300 solar modules and 8 80 kilowatt inverters, while the East Array is on top of the 40 million gallon reservoir and has 2,900 modules with a total of 10 80 kilowatt inverters. In total, the solar system here at Twin Oaks Reservoirs will supply about 1.44 megawatt hours of AC. This is enough to roughly power 300 homes. This project had many moving pieces and many stakeholders involved. We wanted to just say a special thank you to the district inspections team. We wanted to say thank you to our solar provider, Holt Renewables and Kenyon Energy, and also Terra Verde Renewable Partners. Construction is expected to be completed at Twin Oaks in November of 2020. Lift Station 1 will be completed around January or February of 2021, which at that time, we will be in full production.
So that's the video, and I just would like to share that the fall issue of Between the Pipes, that's basically the lead article, and it also has a link to the YouTube site to drive our customers to watch the video on this. And as long as I'm talking about videos, today just happens to be Imagine a Day Without Water, and we've got our video up on Facebook about how we should imagine a day without water and what it would mean during COVID-19 and the hygiene capability of water.
Wow, Chris, impressive.
Well, and really, Alicia makes that video, and she did all that video photography and editing. She does a fantastic job.
Well, the video is amazing. The project itself is impressive. It's just hard to imagine how big that is when you're just, if you went out there, I think it would overwhelm you. I remember that when the tanks, before it was there, that was a lot of open space. And I also want to compliment Ryan on doing a great job of speaking. Do they have a script? Because they have a lot to get in there, don't they? I don't know if the other board members had something to say. I just had one quick question, and I don't know if it's you would answer it or if it would be an engineer or our GM, but with all those panels exposed, what I know we've had like baseball problem with the balls next door with our own panels at the district. How do we monitor that and replacements and things like that? How does that go? Looks like a lot of panels to keep up.
Yeah, typically, this is General Manager Prum. Typically on things like a power purchase agreement, it's the responsibility of the power purchase provider or the power provider. So it's
Oh,
not the
great.
district's responsibility. But if either James or Ryan want to add to that, feel free.
No?
That's one of the beauties of the power purchase agreement is we have very little obligation. We benefit from a really affordable energy rate, and all the responsibility is on the backs of others.
Well, I appreciate you pointing that out because when I was looking at it, I wondered. So excellent. And any of the other gentlemen choose to speak? No. Well, thank you for a great presentation, and district, thank you for a good job.
President, hey, President
Yes?
Evans?
Yes,
Yep, sorry, I had my hand up. I don't know. if
I
you
just
could-
couldn't see you. I'm so sorry.
No worries. Hey, Chris, as always, super high quality videos. I did see the one on Facebook earlier for the A Day Without Water and how you guys linked it to the current pandemic. And I just can't stress enough how important that interaction with our customers and the community from both a kind of a water awareness standpoint and also just letting them know what's going on with their water district is just absolutely critical. And I really appreciate the effort that your team is putting in with those high quality videos. And then you guys are producing them so quickly too, which is great. And we're having a real regular interaction with our customers and the community through those videos. And it really helps during these times of the pandemic when we can't host the open houses like we typically do. We can't send our teams out to the elementary schools like we typically do. This is really the only way that we can communicate with folks right now. And you guys are just doing a bang up job on the solar project itself. Very impressive to the engineering team and everybody involved. The figures, the savings, the innovation, and just everything that you guys are doing out there is just tremendous. And you know, you look at the $8.3 million that was mentioned in the video as a savings. That's the primary reason why we're doing it. But we should never forget the environmental benefits of doing this as well. There's the financial piece to it, but there's always the simple. It's the right thing to do. And I'm just glad that we're part of that, and we're leading the way in the region with doing solar and other environmentally friendly activities.
Thank you, Director Sinella. That was beautifully said. And with that, I think we can move on to the consent calendar. We have, we need a motion to approve or to adopt, I'm sorry, our consent calendar.
Move to adopt, Hernandez.
Thank you. And it's been moved by Hernandez and seconded by
Second, Elithar.
by Elithar for the consent calendar. Roll call. Director Sinella.
I'm going to vote yes, but I have a couple comments on one of the items, 1.5. I don't want to pull it. I just want to ask staff a question on it. So I don't know if you want to do that after the vote or right now.
What? Go ahead and do it now. I think that's appropriate.
Yeah, so this is the Applewhile repaving of the road after we had the water main break out there. And I'm glad that this is on the agenda, and I'm glad that we're voting on it, and that it, most likely, we're going to be making those repairs so that neighborhood can have their street back to normal. But Glenn, the second piece of that, there's obviously when you start doing road work, there's going to be impacts, right? And so what's the plan to communicate with the residents in that area, make sure that they know if they need to leave their car out on the street one day because they won't be able to get out of their driveway, or any other impacts to utilities or anything else? What's kind of the plan there?
Yeah, we don't have a specific plan developed yet, but as we get closer to actual construction starting, we will certainly reach out to the community. Although it's a relatively large project for us in terms of paving, it's a relatively small area in terms of the number of homes. So we'll make a concerted effort working with the contractor to make sure all the residents that are affected by the project are aware of it with enough time so that they can make adjustments in their life, because it's very possible that people may lose access to their driveway for short periods of time. So we need to make sure people are aware of that. But I'll work with Chris and our communications team and our engineering staff to make sure that we get the word out to these to the residents in the area.
Thank you. I'd appreciate that.
Okay, did you have another one as well? Did you say, Director Sinella?
Nope, that was it.
All right, thank you. Okay, so we have a motion to adopt the consent calendar. It's been moved and seconded. So Director Sinella,
Yes.
thank you. Director Hernandez,
Yes.
thank you. Director Elitharp,
Yes.
thank you. Director Martin,
Yes.
thank you. And I as well. So this passes unanimously. We'll be moving now to our action items. If I can find mine. Well, that's interesting. I don't seem to have them. Oh. Just put my phone. Okay, first one, participation in the San Diego County Water Authority's new permanent special agricultural water rate program. I assume
Yes.
you'll be speaking on that, General Manager Prue?
Yeah, actually, Chris Robbins will be taking that item, but it is to talk about a special water rate program that we work with the Water Authority on. I mean, Chris will get into the details of that. So Chris, go ahead.
Thank you so much, General Manager, and I apologize to the PAP committee members who it's basically the same report that we broached about a week ago. San Diego County Water Authority is providing a special agricultural water rate to certain farmers, grower customers to the district since 2008 through their Transitional Special Agricultural Water Rate Program. It's a separate class of service, and our I call them TSAR customers receive a reduced level of water supply reliability in exchange for lower agricultural rates compared to what we would call municipal and industrial full service rates. The SAR program was set to expire at the end of this calendar year, December 31st, 2020. So the CWA board authorized a task force to work with CWA staff to develop a program and come up with specific policies and procedures for a new permanent special agricultural water rate, or PSAR program. PSAR program policies and procedures are basically modeled after the TSAR program requirements. The PSAR program will continue to offer our VWD farmer agricultural customers who voluntarily participate a lower agricultural water rate tied to a reduced level of service during water shortages or emergencies. It'll begin on January 1st of 2021. The district currently has about 117 agricultural water accounts. Some of those accounts participate in the TSAR program, and other ones participate in what we call our Certified Non-Participating Agricultural Water Rate, or CNPAR program. And some of the customers have both types of accounts. They have both TSAR and CNPAR. Unlike the TSAR program, which required customers to be enrolled in Metropolitan's old program back in the day, the Interim Agricultural Water Program, as of January 1st of 2009, in order to participate, new and existing customers can join this PSAR program. So if you were a new customer that bought a new piece of property and wanted to do agricultural on it, you would be able to sign up for the program and get agricultural water. Some of the differences are that there's no minimum acreage requirement. I think you may all recall that the TSAR program typically had a 1 acre minimum densely planted requirement. That's no longer in existence. So the eligibility for this PSAR program is customers must grow or raise for commercial purposes products of agricultural, horticultural, or floricultural purposes, natures. So we will have to verify our customers' eligibility through one of, I'm going to hold up my hand here, 4 types of methods that I'm going to describe to you. Eligibility will be provided through the San Diego Regional Water Quality Control Board or other San Diego County programs. So one of those programs is the Regional Board's General Agricultural Orders Enrollment List. It's a list that was put together back in 2016. The Regional Board adopted general waste discharge requirements for commercial agricultural operations. Basically, if you're growing things, not to have fertilizers and such running off your property. The second one is called a growers list, and it's an inventory of San Diego agricultural operators with a County of San Diego assigned operator ID number associated with pesticide use. The third one is active certified producers, and that's a farmer that's been certified by San Diego County Department Agricultural Weights and Measures to sell at certified farmers markets. So if you ever visit a farmer's market, the people that are at the farmer's market have to get certified through this entity. And then lastly, there's the other list, which is organic producers, and that's the U.S. Department of Agriculture's National Organic Program, which defines organic agriculture. So you need to be on one of those 4 lists to be able to access agricultural water, and that's for the entire region. That's not just Vallecitos, it's everybody. One of the things that the Water Authority put in place was to offer a smooth transition from the old TSAR to the PSAR program, is to basically allow our existing TSAR customers to temporarily migrate to the PSAR program on a conditional basis until their eligibility has been verified. So basically there's kind of a 6 months transition period through June 30th of 2021. And it lets customers get a chance to get themselves on those 4 previously mentioned lists that I talked about. As far as enrollment, participants will have to complete an enrollment form to be able to participate, and VWD, meaning me, will be required to obtain written approval from our agricultural customers of their intent to enter the program, and it must be made prior to entry into the program. So VWD will have to provide proof that the enrollment form was received and verified, and we've confirmed the participants' enrollment in one of those 4 lists. One of the things that's different about this program is once customers are in the program, there are limitations to exiting the program. And when we go into limits imposed on PSAR members with cutbacks from metropolitan or emergency situations, customers aren't allowed to leave the program. Additionally, if participating customers opt out of the PSAR program at any time, they're not allowed to opt back in during a cutback emergency shortage periods or when any sort of water shortage contingency plan has been activated. PSAR participants, in the event of supply cutbacks or other situations, when the events occur, the CWA will require each agency like Vallecitos to meet an established mandatory PSAR supply reduction level. So basically, if MWD or CWA says we need to reduce by 10%, those customers will be required to reduce by 10% as well. If a PSAR participant program becomes ineligible for PSAR during a non-service limitation, or they're dropped from any of those eligible lists by the county or the regional board, we can appeal the participant's loss, providing written notice to the CWA, and CWA will have 30 days to appeal the request, but their decision is final. Lastly, some of the improvements for PSAR over TSAR is that the old PSAR program had a certification requirement that the district was required to do. Agricultural customers needed to prove the viability. So now the agricultural customers will have to provide the viability of their operation to these third-party entities that in turn certify them on those lists. So it basically means I don't have to any longer drive out to a customer's property as an investigator or judge and try to determine if there's a legitimate agricultural business going there. And that can be difficult, like in the wintertime with, you know, we think most of our customers is avocados, but some of them grow different things. And in different seasons, it doesn't look particularly like an agricultural operation is going on right there. As far as financial impacts, the rates for PSAR will be the same format as TSAR. Long term, it's real hard to tell whether the district will have more or less agricultural customers. I imagine there may be some customers that join the program that are interested in this and may decide to join, but there may be certain customers that are in the current program that may not be able to get on those lists. So that will, there's going to be ebb and flow with this. As long as we're talking about the ag programs, it's a good time to bring up our other agricultural program. Separate from the CWA's program is the district's own certified non-participating agricultural water rate. And as you'll recall, I mentioned that earlier. It was established during the 2007-2009 California drought. And basically the district was petitioned by customers to provide an agricultural rate that wouldn't be subject to water use restrictions in time of drought or supply cutbacks. And so the CNPR was originally referenced in an ordinance 165 back in 2009. And it had the same requirements as CWA's TSAR program. And that ordinance has been modified and revised and replaced over the years. But currently the district has approximately 97 TSAR customers and about 23 certified non-participating agricultural rate customers. And unlike the TSAR and PSAR programs, which offer a lower agricultural water rate tied to a reduced level of service during those water shortages, certified non-participating ag customers have no current consequences during times of drought. So certified non-participating ag customers are currently flatlined at tier 2. They get no tier 1 discount, but they also get no tier 3 increase. And I'm just broaching this because the board is conducting a water rate study, and it's time to maybe consider the status of this district agricultural program. And the options include you can keep it as is, maybe remove the certified non-participating program and only offer the CWA's PSAR program to our ag customers. Another option might be to transition the certified non-participating ag customers to a classification like an irrigation classification, and it would be available to grass areas, parks, large landscapes on separate irrigation meters like HOAs and things like that. So just some things for the board to consider during the rate study. As a recommendation, I recommend the board approve our participation in the PSAR program. And as an alternative, we could choose not to participate in it, but that would have a lot of financial consequences for the majority of the district's agricultural customers, as they would no longer have access to lower priced ag water. And that concludes my presentation on CWA's PSAR.
Well, thank you. That was quite a lot of information there, Chris. You did really well with it. I know you've said it several times now, but it's a lot to catch the first time you hear it. I'm wondering, did we have anyone, Director, General Manager Pruitt, did we have anyone who wished to speak on this item?
I'm not seeing any of the attendees with a raised hand indicating a desire to speak.
All right, thank you so much. So then the board, do you have comments or questions that you would like to voice? Okay, not seeing any, then I'll entertain a motion to approve the district's participation in the CWA's new permanent special agricultural water rate program. I'll make the motion if someone will second it.
And second.
Thank you. Okay, it's been moved and seconded that we follow the recommendations, and that would be roll call vote. Director Elitharp.
Yes.
Director Martin.
Yes.
Director Hernandez.
Yes.
Director Sinella.
Yes.
I'll be a yes, also passes unanimously. Thank you, gentlemen. Moving on to 2.2, award for professional services agreement for the Meadowlark Fail-Safe Rehabilitation Buena Reach project. And that will go to,
Yeah, it's actually going to be Ryan Morgan's going to take this one, but just as a little intro, we do have a fail-safe pipeline that has experienced a couple of breaks, and we want to do a more comprehensive repair job than just point repairs. So Ryan will walk you through where we're at on that what that project entails and where we're at on the project. So Ryan, go ahead.
Okay, thank you, General Manager Prum. Good evening, President Evans and directors of the board. I am here sharing my screen right now, and with the award for professional services agreement for the Meadowlark Failsafe Rehabilitation Buena Reach project. The Failsafe outfall pipeline is a 16-inch ductile iron pipeline installed in 1980. It connects the district's Meadowlark Water Reclamation Facility to Encino Wastewater Authority's ocean outfall. The failsafe pipeline allows Meadowlark to discharge up to 3 million gallons per day of secondary effluent directly into the ocean, bypassing the tertiary or recycled water treatment process at Meadowlark and also treatment processes at Encina. There are 3 designated sections of the existing failsafe outfall, of which responsibility is shared with the Buena Sanitation District and the City of Carlsbad. Different percentages along these different reaches are based on existing agreements. Through these existing agreements, the district is responsible for operating and maintaining the pipeline. However, the incurred costs, including emergency repairs, are distributed among the agencies as presented in the table shown on board packet page number 76. Of which the Buena section is the focus here. It's 50% Vallecitos, 50% Buena, and 0% City of Carlsbad. The 2 significant pipeline breaks that General Manager Pruitt mentioned occurred in the recent history of the Buena Reach, which is approximately 10,000 feet of 16-inch diameter pipeline. It's located, as you'll see on the graphic, between Aviara Parkway and Yarrow Drive in the City of Carlsbad. The first break occurred on December 20th, 2018, and the second occurred on April 20th of this year. Outside contractors were required to repair the breaks due to the depth of the pipeline and also the scope of work involved in the repair. District staff have prioritized the planning, design, and construction of the Meadowlark Failsafe Rehab project through the limits of the Buena Reach entirely. The district submitted a request for proposals for the Meadowlark Failsafe Rehab Buena Reach project to 3 as-needed engineering firms on August 24th. The firms were asked to present their experience in designing linear wastewater projects. The 3 firm staff requested proposals from were Infrastructure Engineering Corporation, Black & Veatch, and Nolte Vertical 5, NV5. On September 14th, 2020, staff received proposals from all 3 of the firms. District staff, along with Buena Sanitation District staff, reviewed the proposals and rated each firm based on their qualifications and experience on similar projects, scope of work, approach, labor hours, and schedule. Staff followed up with 2 of the firms, IEC and NV5, just to request some clarifications to their respective proposals, and requested revised proposals, which were received on September 21st. The selection committee received those revised proposals from NV5 and IEC and performed a second round of rating, and based on the conformance of our request at the time. NV5 was ultimately selected as the most qualified consultant with a total fee of $144,672 for the planning and design engineering services of this project. Fiscal impact is broken down on page 77 of your board packet. The project is identified in the district's fiscal year 2020-2021 budget. The approved capital budget is $1.16 million. Funding for the project comes entirely from the sewer replacement funds. As a 50% stakeholder, Buena Sanitation District will fund 50% of the project's planning, design, and construction efforts. The fiscal impact is broken down in the table on page 77. And as you can see, the consultant planning and design services fees are broken down at $144,672. Estimated responsibility, 50-50 responsibility for the district and for Buena Sanitation District is roughly $1.16 million, in line with our budgeted capital improvement project budget. Staff time on this budget includes project management throughout design, bid, construction, as well as construction management and inspection services during construction phase. Staff recommends authorizing the general manager to enter into a professional engineering services agreement with NV5 in the amount of $144,672 for planning and engineering design services during construction for the Meadowlark Failsafe Rehabilitation Project, Buena Reach. And with that, I will field any questions you might have.
Actually, I have two questions for clarification, Ryan. The first one is regarding on page 77, and I know you don't have anything to show anyone in the audience, but we have set aside $70,000 of that cost for staff and other services. I just would like you to clarify how that $70,000 is already in our budget and just being allocated to this. It's not like it's an additional $70,000 coming for this project separately. Do you know what I'm trying to ask?
Well, the staff services are primarily for active management throughout planning and design. Right now, we've been in planning phase along with Buena Sanitation District, and we are now going to get into the design phase with the consultant. In addition, we plan to utilize district inspection to actively manage the project in construction phase to provide our own CM and inspection services. So a lot of that is earmarked for construction, but also the active management throughout design. Is that?
And let me add.
I don't think I think maybe Glenn, I think you know what I'm trying to ask.
Right, let me jump in if you don't mind, President Evans. So I think your question was, are those costs already included? And the answer is yes. All the costs for the staff that'll be working on this project are already in our budget. When we start tracking the costs, we like to know whether it's general overhead projects or specifically to a project. So the numbers that you see in the staff report on page 77 is merely a bookkeeping mechanism to show where we spent our time. It's not a request for additional funds for more staff. It's already in the budget.
Thank you. That's what I want to clarify, because I did have a couple people who had asked me about that. I just wanted to make sure it was on the record for them. Also, I was curious, I probably should already know this, but when we do something like this and the Buena Sanitation District is funding half of it, do they take responsibility for half as it's going along? Or is one of us the lead agency and we pay it and then we're reimbursed? Or does the, what is it, NV5, do they separate their bills 50-50? How is that handled in the separation?
I'll go ahead and take a stab at that unless James, you want to jump in.
No, go ahead, Ron.
I believe in this case, as lead agency of the repair, the way the existing agreement is structured, the district ourselves would essentially pay the fees up front and be reimbursed on the back end by Buena Sanitation District.
And that's normally how we would do that as a lead agency. Is that correct?
Yeah, and that's correct, President Evans. Although in this case, there'd just be a slight delay. So we'd get the invoices and then we'd send our invoice on, if they're monthly to Buena, and then roughly about a month later, we'd be getting reimbursed as we go along.
Thank you. I don't believe we've ever had any problems with anything like this, but for some reason that popped into my head today and I just wanted to clarify. So thank you. And the rest of the board, did you have any questions, comments, or do we have any speakers?
Let me check the speakers. No members of the public have their hands raised.
All right, and none of the board members. So We'd be looking for a motion to approve.
I'll move staff's recommendation.
Thank you. Is that you, Director Elitharp?
Yes.
Thank you. And
Vanilla, second.
A second by Sanella. It's been moved and seconded that we accept staff's recommendation. Roll call vote. Director Elitharp?
Yes.
Thank you. Director Hernandez?
Yes.
Thank you. Director Martin?
Yes,
Thank you. And Director Sanella?
Yes.
Thank you. And I will also approve that, so it's unanimous. Our next item is 2.3. And who will be the lead on that?
I'll take that, President Evans.
Thank you.
So this is a simple matter. LAFCO is looking for nominations to serve on their special districts advisory committee. They have 8 seats that will be coming available. So anybody who's interested has to submit up to a 2-page resume and fill out an application form, basically, to the selection committee. So all they're looking for right now are people that are expressing an interest. And you do have to be an elected or appointed official or a staff member of a special district. So we have until November 9th to submit our nomination forms. And again, you're limited to a 2-page resume. So all we're looking for tonight is to see if any of our district directors are interested in serving on the LAFCO Special Advisory or Special District Advisory Committee.
Okay, is anyone interested at this moment? Or you can think about it until December 9th.
November
I think
9th.
we'll be thinking November 9th, so we'll be thinking on that. Okay, and item 2.4 is our COVID financial reporting presentation.
Yeah, I'll kick this off, but then I'll hand it over quickly to Wes. So you'll remember when the board adopted the budget for this year, we knew that there were going to be COVID impacts, right? So staff put together a list of assumptions that propagated through the development of the budget as to what financial impacts COVID may have on our district. And as part of the budget adoption, staff committed to coming back in a monthly, once a month, and provide updates to see how our actual experience is tracking with the assumptions that we made. So this is our October report that will take us through our September experience. So with that, I'll turn it over to Wes, and Wes will turn it over to maybe Mike and maybe somebody else, and then we'd be happy to answer any questions at the end.
Good evening, President Evans, members of the board. This is our third month of presenting the COVID-19 financial update. So this will be through September 30th. And we will be doing actual versus budget. And as usual, the categories are going to be, well, the impacted areas of COVID are the water sales, water purchases, delinquency charges, lock charges, and bad debt expense. And Mike is actually going to kick it off with the water sales and water purchases, and then I'll come in after that. So if Mike, if you'd like to start.
Sure. Thank you, Wes. President Evans, members of the board. Wes, if you can click the next slide. So as Wes mentioned, this is our third month doing the COVID financial update. And what I'll be discussing is the water sales for fiscal year 2021. So we're 3 months into the fiscal year, and the production, which is the purchases. So for water sales, we do account for customers by customer type. So we have the commercial, industrial, and other customers, our residential customers, irrigation, and agricultural. And Wes, if you can click one more time. So for the 3-month period, this pie chart breaks down between those 4 customer classes. This is the 61% for residential is the amount of water sold, not the number of customers. So out of our total water sold for the 3-month period, 61% of the water has been supplied to our residential customers. So the next chart, Wes, if you can click. This just shows a bar graph representation of basically the same data, but it compares it to the last 3 fiscal years. So this is July, August, September of this year compared to July, August, September of the previous 2 years. For fiscal year 2021, we are about 6.6% higher than last year. And the biggest increases, not surprisingly due to the COVID and people staying home, are in the residential section. And the biggest decrease, again, not surprisingly, is the commercial, industrial, and construction and other. The next graph with which you can click. Now, we talked about fiscal year to date. What I'm trying to do is kind of take a COVID time period. So COVID kind of started impacting us about March, April. Well, March sales, which are reported in April. So what I'm doing is doing a 6-month period from April through September last year with the same time period, April, September of this year. So last year in water sales, we had about 6,800 acre feet of sales and purchases of 8,200. And again, I always have to caveat that don't be alarmed that the purchases are way higher than the sales. A lot of it is a timing issue and some of it is storage and other issues. So the current fiscal year, we are trending a bit higher. Water sales are at about 7,100 acre feet and our purchases are about 8,400 acre feet. So the overall, I said for the fiscal year to date, we were up 6.6%. But for the COVID time period, the 6 months period, we're up about 4.9% in water sales and about 2.7% in water purchases. And if you click one more time, Wes, we talk about how we'll compare budget to actual. Budget-wise, we would expected the residential to increase about 5%. And as you can see, we're about 8.6% higher. For irrigation and agricultural, we expected about a 10% decrease. Most of the irrigation increase is due to the warm weather we've had for the last 2 to 3 months. So people are watering more outdoors. So that's kind of to be expected right now. The decrease that we expected for the commercial, industrial, and other, with restaurants being closed and businesses being closed, we budgeted at 25%. We're hanging in at about minus 16.3%. So overall, taken into total, we budgeted that we'd be at a 4.0 decrease in water sales, and we are up at about 4.9%. So this is trending about the same as that we reported the last couple of months. So that's the end of my presentation. I'd be happy to answer any questions that you may have.
Okay, if there are no questions, I'll move on to the next slide.
Okay, thank you.
And this is the billing timeline for just to get an idea of the COVID impacts. So we've now updated it for through September. And looking at September, we're actually going to start to see the effects of June usage and earlier, because it's about 4 months before that we get that. And the way that that works is usage starts June 1st. They get the bills around July 3rd. It becomes delinquent July 23rd, which is when there'd be a then there'd be a late fee on June 30th. After that, we have the lock charge, which would be September, or the lock. There'd be a lock notice, and then they'd be locked on September 1st. And then they would actually be put to bad debt September 29th, so about 4 months later. So we're going to be talking about delinquency fees, the lock charges, and the bad debt expenses. So I just wanted to give you an idea of the timing of that, and that it's about 4 months total until bad debt expense. So the next slide shows the requested fee waivers, and this is the number of people who called in and asked for it to have their delinquency charges waived. And as you know, we had that customer service program where we put them in the special care program, and that's staying pretty steady now. We have about the same number of people. It's 46 people in the special care as of September. But just to go through it, in April, we had 172 total requested waiver fees. In May, we had 176. And then in June, it went down to 100. And then it came down to 66 in July, and it stayed pretty much about the same. In August, it's at 62, and then in September, we're back to 66. And only there are 46 in the special care program. And again, those are the people that provided support, that they were affected by COVID, and we'll work with them in the future after it's over to, figure out, when we start locking people again, to put them on a payment plan or how to work through it. So it's pretty much leveled out. There's not a lot to really talk about here, except for that it is level. Moving on to the next slide, the fee waivers due to COVID. From August to September, they actually went up from $375 to $780, but again, that's only $780. It's not thousands, or it's not any large number. It's really not that big. And just to put it in perspective, the total delinquency fees that were charged were about $31,000, and we waived a total of $2,500. So really only $780 are due to COVID. So it's actually a small number. Next slide shows the number of accounts delinquent over the last 7 months with a 3-year comparison. And we can see in September, we're still right in line. And actually, if you look at the September delinquent accounts, is at 1298, which is less than last year at this time and less than the year before at this time. So we haven't really seen a spike in the number of delinquent accounts. So nothing unusual there. Next slide are the delinquency charges. And again, this is a trend. We are seeing an increase in delinquency charges, but actually that's a good thing. It's a good thing in a way. We're collecting delinquency revenue, but we haven't had an issue in collecting those fees. So while they're up about $20,000 from last year, that's not a large dollar amount either. And remember that we budgeted to only collect about, I think it was 30% of the total delinquency charges from the previous year, and that would be 21,000. We're actually at 82. So it's well above what we expected, and we're not realizing our expectations in a good way. Next slide are the accounts not locked due to COVID. So if we were locking customers, we would have locked 92 accounts in September. And those accounts are made up of 88 single family residential. One was a temporary meter, 2 irrigation, and 1 commercial. So those were the accounts not locked. And looking at that, the next thing we look at are the locked charges. So if we had locked them, we would have collected about $150 per locked account. And looking at this slide, it shows from July to September in comparison to the previous year and the budget. And in September, we budgeted 0 because we're not locking for this fiscal year. And we came in at 0 because we're not charging lock fees. We're not locking anybody. But what this shows actually is that year to date last year, we had collected $34,000 in lock charges. So in essence, we're losing, or we've lost $34,000 in revenues related to lock charges. The last slide I have to present is bad debt expense. And this shows July through September with prior year and budget comparisons. And you can see there's a trend on bad debt expense. It's going from 3,000 in July, 19,000 in August, and then 45,000 in September. A couple of those are large or big accounts, 22,000 or more. And while it's increasing, it's still not quite. So there's the 45,000, but we budgeted 112,500. So remember, that's 10 times what we had budgeted for the previous year due to the COVID impacts. And we're nowhere near that expectation or that plan. So we're well under our budgeted bad debt expense. So things are looking pretty good. And that's all I have to present tonight. I'm happy to answer any questions if you have them.
Thank you, Wes and Mark. Do any of you have questions or comments? Thank you. Director Sanella.
Yeah, Glenn, the only question that comes to mind, first off, I think all things considered with the pandemic, the numbers look good and I'll stress with all things considered. But a couple times during the presentation, it was mentioned that, when we come out of this, we'll come up with an agreed upon payment plan for those who have been impacted. And as you can imagine, if you're in one of those categories where you've been impacted to the point where you can't make your water payment along the way, it's not like you're going to just wake up, in a couple months from now and be able to, take on additional payments, right? So what is the plan for that? And what are some of the, are our hands tied as far as what we're able to do? Is it even legal for us to just waive them and just say, in light of the pandemic situation, we're not going to require you to pay that money back? Is that even legal?
Well, I'm not an attorney, but in general, you don't want to do that because it would be considered a gift of public funds. So it's our obligation to try to recover payment for all services rendered. Having said that, the whole point of what we're doing this year is to work with our customers as much as we possibly can in recognition of the financial situation they find themselves in. I don't think we're going to have a kind of cookie cutter, one size fits all plan for everybody that's experienced problems. We may develop certain categories. If they only owe a couple $100, we'll treat them different than if they owe us several $1,000s. And we'll probably give people that owe more money longer periods of time, particularly if they're having ongoing COVID issues. those people that have regained their employment and have gotten their legs back under them, will probably try to get payment from them sooner than somebody who may have permanently lost their job. So I think there's going to be a lot of as needed care for each of these customers. But we've always worked well with customers even before COVID, and we remain committed to working with everybody who's been impacted by COVID. So I know that's kind of a generic answer, but right now we don't know. The only thing we do know, the only regulation that's on us right now is that the state won't allow us to shut people off for non-payment. We actually, the board made that decision even before the governor imposed it. We still remain in that. We couldn't undo it now because the governor did come on after we had done it and restricted our ability to open it up. But at some point in time, the governor will say, okay, now it's up to the local agencies. And at that point in time, we'll probably come back to the board to seek direction as to when do we want to start locking, or do we want to start locking people for non-payment? But it's not going to happen anytime soon, I don't think.
Okay, yeah, just to put it on your radar screen, it doesn't have to happen. I mean, I know we're going to be getting into the holidays here soon, but maybe shortly after the new year, if staff can come back to the board with a brief presentation on what options are available to us, what are you guys thinking as far as different types of payment plans depending on maybe how much a customer owes, and then but what flexibility and options does the board have as well, either to I know that we can we can extend the non-require, the non-shutting off longer than the governor if the governor, does away with that. So that would be one option. But are there any other options out there that we could have, some flexibility with our customers in need?
Yeah, I'll work with staff and we'll develop some options, and we'll probably take it through like a finance committee first and then bring it to the board to see what we want to do. Because it would be nice to have that kind of policy in place early so that we know how we can, to what extent we can work with our customers who've been impacted.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Are there any other comments, gentlemen? I didn't ask, do you have anyone in the audience who had chosen to speak on this?
Yeah, I'm not seeing anybody. And just as a comment, I was concerned that I didn't see any hands up for any issues. So I reached out to our IT staff to ask them to raise their hand as an attendee, and the function is working. So
Okay.
people just must be satisfied with the information they're hearing.
All right, thank you. Okay, then we will move on to reports, and the first one will fall on you, General Manager Pruitt.
Yeah, so I have, I think just 3 items. So one, and I reported on this before, SDG&E does have a planned power shutdown in the Lake San Marcos area. So they're gonna have to shut down electrical service area and portions of Lake San Marcos. They had told us this in several months before, but they kept delaying it. The current plan is for that work to be done tomorrow night, starting at 11 o'clock at night and extending through Friday morning at 6 a.m. Vallecitos will be running our generator at our Lake San Marcos lift station during this outage to maintain wastewater services. So residents in the immediate vicinity of our the sewer lift station, they should be advised that there may be some additional background noise. It's not very loud, but they may wonder what that hum is that they hear tomorrow night that they don't normally hear. So just an advisory thing. And I think we've worked with the Lake San Marcos community to let them know directly. We do have second item, we do have a couple of valve replacement projects we're going to be doing that require night work. So tonight, Vallecitos crews will be replacing a water valve along Pacific Street near San Marcos Boulevard. That's right near the Arby's there. We'll be doing the work during the evening hours, and we don't think there'll be much traffic disruption because it's a minor side street there. Next Wednesday on October 28th, staff will be doing a similar job for a water valve within San Marcos Boulevard near Tamarisk, and that also will be evening work. Both of these jobs have been coordinated with the city of San Marcos and their traffic department, and we'll install all the traffic control devices that they require. But since we're doing both jobs at night, traffic volumes are much lower, but just want to let the board and the public know. And the last thing I had, and Chris Robbins touched on it earlier, but at the last meeting, the board approved the most recent edition, the fall edition of our Between the Pipes newsletter. And just want to let the board know that that will be mailed out tomorrow. So our customers should be getting it the day after or by the weekend for sure. So just wanted the board to know that that communication piece is on its way. And that's all I have.
Thank you. And District Legal Counsel?
Good evening, President Evans and board members. I have no report for you this evening.
Well, thank you for sitting through the meeting and keeping us in check.
Sure. I will mention one thing though. Our office will work with staff on the item that was raised by Director Sinella. There may be some restrictions and things to consider in terms of the source of funds that would be used for forgiving anyone earlier in the process than the district typically does, but we're happy to work with them on that. And the question has come up from other agencies as well. So we have some work we can rely on as well.
Oh, thank you for that. The San Diego County Water Authority meeting is tomorrow at 9 a.m. So I have nothing to report. Encino Wastewater Authority.
Yes, the Capital Improvement Committee met this morning. They say we have a new dashboard. What they showed didn't look any different than in previous months, but that be as it may. On the design, the network improvement design is in its 90% phase. We've got the north side of the facility underway, and they're working on the south side with connections and routing and all the different things of the network have to do. On the construction side, we've got 8 projects that are ongoing, $33 million worth of projects. The one that they highlighted today was the dryer safety improvement. That's where we take the waste and dry it and turn it into the fertilizer pellets that we know about. It was put into effect in 2008. The first cycle was in 2013 of safety improvements, and 2019, and they're finishing up the 2020 safety requirements this year, and we've been asked to continue and recommended to the full board the continuation of our design services. The cogen building, the wall that was deteriorating away has been repaired, scaffolding's down. Now they're doing a last task item 6, which is going to be the networking, putting it back together. So that's $96,000, and the work itself is that's the design side, and the work itself is $307,000. So we're taking all that to the board next week.
And Policy and Finance Committee?
Yes, our board meeting is on next Wednesday.
Next Wednesday. Thank you. Okay, since our last meeting, have we had any standing committees that have met? No? All right, we can move on then to directors' reports on meetings, conferences, seminars they've attended. Director Sinella.
Oh, sorry, I was looking at the agenda. I have not attended anything since the last meeting.
Thank you. Okay, any other of our directors? I did attend as on the board of directors for the Aqua 10, Region 10. We had a meeting regarding the conference. It will be co-chairing with Region 9 at the Aqua Fall Conference. It's December 2nd and 3rd. Looks like we've settled on the Colorado River and tied that in with both the Salton Sea and desal. They realize how important desalination is going to be because the water from the Colorado is becoming more and more salty, and it's becoming an interesting issue on that point alone. So I think it will be an excellent program. It'll be about a 60-minute show, and I think it'll be excellent. I don't know who the speakers will be at this time, but it sounded really good and a slightly different twist to what we usually hear when we talk Colorado or Salton Sea or desal. So that was
that was virtual?
I'm sorry, pardon?
Did you say that was going to be a virtual?
Yes, of course. It's a virtual conference and it's 2nd and 3rd of December.
Thank you.
You're welcome. That's all I have. So I guess we have no others. So we move on to other business, and we have any meetings in particular to speak about? I'd just like to remind everyone that to hold the 28th open in case we need to have that special meeting, and then director's comments and future agenda items. I know we don't want to guess what the future is going to hold, do we? Well, that's the end of our comments and future agenda items. Before we adjourn, I'd like to say thank you to all of you. Thank you for those in the audience. I wish you a happy Halloween if you choose to celebrate such that. And remember to vote, which is going to happen before our next meeting. Thank you. And once again, I thank the staff and teammates and board members for being extremely gracious while we go through this teleconferencing, and I appreciate the audience. Good night.
Good night.
All right.
Right.
Night, folks.